Hey everyone, my name is Bruno and I've just beaten the newly added Everdark Sovereign Adel with Ironeye on solo, using one of the most broken mechanics that this character has that honestly, I haven't seen anyone else on YouTube use it, so you definitely don't want to skip this one. And as always, we're gonna go over my run, my thought process, my decision making, and general tips for you to beat this newly added boss. So sit tight and enjoy the video.
Oh, that's hot. That's hot.
So welcome to day 1, we're playing as Ironeye and on screen you can already see the relics that I've used for this run, being the most important Knight of the Wise because of the poison effect, and then this blue one that adds an additional character skill use, which is also very useful to clear camps. So we start by dropping, actually we drop on a ranged camp, which is amazing for us because it has 2 guaranteed bow drops in the camp, which is amazing for us. So what we're looking for, I'm actually looking forward to upgrading my starting weapon, but these extra bows can be really nice because they usually have a specific passive that states that your ranged weapons do 10% more damage. So we're really fishing for those, and we actually get one of those right up next in a great bow. And contrary to popular belief, you actually don't want to use great bows on Ironeye because they scale off of strength, and Ironeye's scaling is dexterity and arcane, so you just want to take it for the passive effects. So we go level up, and we continue. I spot a church in the distance, so we're going to clear as many churches as we can on day 1. You already know how this is going to play out. We just run past this Draconic Tree Sentinel. It's something we really don't want to engage this early on day 1. Not because we couldn't take him out, it's just because it's really not worth the time investment. So one of the key skills you really need to pick up in this game is when to pick your fights and when it's worth to fight for something or not. So I'm just looking for the mine, and this is because I already know I was going to go into the boss on day 3 with my starting equipment if I wouldn't be able to get a better weapon, which in this case it would only be the serpent bow. We didn't get that, so I'm glad that I went to the mine to get the smithing stone +2. And this is part of the decision-making process and the way that you start to approach this game the more you play it. So this is more of a mindset than execution part of the game, but well, when you first start playing the game, you're really in a survivability, in a survival state where you're just looking forward to survive to the next night. But as you get better and as you progress in the game, you'll start to realize that you can plan way ahead of that. And soon enough, you'll be planning not for the next night, but for the second night. And the final stage is you go into the game on day 1 and you're already planning for the boss. And this is exactly my mindset right now. I'm already focused on the boss itself, on Adel. And that's going to be my only main point of concern, because I know that with the knowledge I have and with the practice I have, I can already get to level 15 consistently on any run, given that I just make the right choices and do the appropriate pathing. So this is really the point that you want to get to, where you just know that you're so confident and so comfortable with the game that you can just fish and aim for level for day 3. And focus your build on that. So here I spot this mini boss. It's Demi-Human Queen. It's really one of the smaller ones and it's pretty easy, so I just take him out. And if you noticed, I also took the Executioner's Sword that we found lying in the mine. So in case you didn't know, there's these bloodstains that show up all over the place. And they are actually bloodstains of other players that died in that same spot, and they drop an enhanced version of their starting equipment plus a myriad of other items. And they're actually pretty good because the Executor one that we picked up actually increases my arcane and my dexterity. So we just take it for that passive effect. Even though we used the katana, we really didn't have to. So we go and level up to level 4. And then I'm putting my eyes on that fort over there. And that's because of two reasons. Well, first, because it's an easier location to clear and it's within reach. And secondly, because every single fort has a merchant. And that's my main point of focus right now, because we already have the means to get our starting weapon to +2. And as soon as you can do this, the earlier you can really upgrade your weapon, the faster you'll clear camps and the better off you'll be overall. So that's just something we really want to do as soon as possible. So I just go here and I buy a smithing 1 and then upgrade. For the more attentive ones, you could already tell that this wasn't an optimal play, because there's always a smithing stone 1 drop in the mines. However, I didn't went for that, and instead I just bought one. It's not that expensive, but you can really optimize your run even further if you just get smithing 1 as well from the mine. So here you just kill this Abductor Virgin. It's a really easy boss to deal with, especially ranged. Just gotta watch out for the mobs. And here I go for composite bow, even though we're really not gonna use it. We're really gonna focus on our main bow. Even though it has barrage, which is definitely the weapon skill that you wanna look out for and that you wanna get on most of your bows, because it's your most important skill, especially when playing in solo. If you're playing on multiplayer, Rain of Arrows is definitely your go-to, but on solo and for status effects, barrage all the way. So this chest always, or almost always, contains a stone sword key. So we go for it, and then I try to locate an Ever Jail that's actually really close by. But first, since the circle is closing, I'm going to go to the nearest church and just clear any mobs you can find along the way. And so here you can already see that I'm using my character skills to clear up mobs, and since you lack AoE when you play as Ironeye, you can really use these character skills to just sweep through 3 or 4 enemies in a row, and that way clear them very, very fast. Here I actually go into the Spirit Spring inside the storm to clear the Madness Camp. So if you haven't heard, they've just released this new 1.01.3 patch, which with the addition of the new boss and the new shop, they also added more weapons, especially frenzy weapons, because initially there would only be one, which was Vike's Spear, and now you have a couple more. In any case, that's not the reason I'm doing this camp. I'm doing this camp because it's one of the easiest camps for you to clear, and we're fishing out for those passives as much as we can. And as well, also, we're going to be discussing this really underused mechanic. Let me know in the comments if you guys can already spot this mechanic. I've been using it sparingly, but I'll be using it a lot more. Let me know if you guys have figured it out, what it is that I'm doing different, and how you can really amplify your damage output when you play as Ironeye. So I spot two things here. I spot another Madness Camp, which I'm really interested in, because this one has a tower. It's a fire camp with a tower, which means that it's Red Main Knights. It's not your ideal camp, and it's a little bit slow, so I'm just going to go for the other Madness Camp. And then I spot a treasure in the map. Treasures are marked with these icons here that you can see on screen, and they usually contain at least an epic or a rare, and they're random loot, but sometimes they can be good loot. So now we take out another of the Frenzied Flame Trolls. The way you play Ironeye is really, you want to have your mark applied at all times. I just can't say this phrase without laughing, because it just sounds like it, you know? Because it deals 10% more damage to, and the enemies take 10% more damage from any source when they have the mark applied, And you can even pop the mark to deal a burst of damage that usually staggers the enemy, even if it doesn't poise break them always. So now I see something really sketchy. I see a tree trunk just running around. I've never seen this before, but this is part of the Rise event that we see here. Well, that's one of the puzzles for unlocking the Rise. But since we're not playing any magic builds with this character, I did just decide to skip it. I just found it very, very funny that there was a tree trunk just running around. This is our first Scarab of the run. Bolt Ray Talisman isn't really too fantastic. I'm actually not sure on what the type of damage that Adel deals. I'm more inclined to magic damage, but it can be lightning damage, so it may come in handy. I'm not sure. Let me know in the comments as well if you guys know. So here I just take these money trees as they as I have some comments pointing it out, and I see that this this castle is Banished Knight Castle, which is actually not too bad. It's actually something we really want to see with Ironeye, because one of the big weaknesses of Ironeye is dealing with shields, and yeah, we have a Bell-Bearing Hunter on the basement. We're not dealing with that anytime soon. That will be just a last resort plan if we have the time, because it's one of the tankiest characters, of the tankiest bosses you can find when it appears in the basement. So now I just go and start clearing it up, and yeah, as you can see, the character skill is really good for clearing up mobs, and the second activation really does the trick, because it refreshes the mark and it puts some damage onto it. So just another basic attack and it pops. So very, very fast, very, very efficient. And yeah, and maybe we can start talking about the mechanic, the big one, the one that's really really going to elevate your Ironeye gameplay, and that is, as you can see, free aiming. Look at the headshot damage, and this is something I haven't seen anyone using. So it turns out if you press L2, you can actually free aim with your bow, and this might feel a little bit not even clunky, but just like outright unusable, because well, most of the people are going to be playing in controller, and so it's a little bit of awkward to aim. But it turns out if you really nail those shots, they're really, really useful, because headshot damage not only deals increased amount of damage, like a lot more, at least 50% more, you even get to stagger most of the enemies. Even these Banished Knights, the first shot to the head is guaranteed to stagger them, so you can just keep compounding more shots. And this is something that I haven't seen anyone use, and this brings a new layer of gameplay and of game philosophy almost to this Ironeye gameplay, which is you really need to play, for you to play Ironeye optimally, you want to treat this character as if you're playing Monster Hunter. And that's because if you played bow in Monster Hunter, you already know that you really need to free aim. And enemies, most of the enemies have weak spots in this game, so being able to target those at will is really, really powerful, and it's a lot more complicated, but then again, it will just wield so many more results. Now here I just will go to this merchant to buy a Wending Grace. It's always good to have, you know, an extra res on top of your default one. But yeah, the main point here of playing Ironeye is really utilizing this manual aiming, and this manual aiming has hidden properties, one of which is you can actually have your targets locked on and free aim it regardless. And this is very important because this creates some sort of soft locking aim assist, in which when you go to manual aim mode, if you have your character aiming locked onto a target, the crosshair will snap to its locked target. So it's really great, and it really helps you out placing that first shot when you first enter the manual stance mode. And plus, this is actually a big interaction that one of my viewers has pointed out to me in the comments, so thank you so much for your comment, which is you can actually trigger those walking effects of the rain and of the frenzy by going into manual aim mode, and this will become so much relevant when we get to the night boss. So thank you so much again for your comment. That was great, guys. Keep them coming. As I mentioned, I'm also learning this game with you guys, so this community effort of us just figuring out this game mechanics and these cool interactions really elevates and pushes the player experience, so let's keep doing it. So the first night boss is Gaping Dragon. This is actually one of the easiest bosses you can actually get, and there's a cool interaction here, which is you can actually cut off its tail. So it's kind of ironic that we talked about Monster Hunter because, well, this is literally a Monster Hunter type of mechanic. And, but yeah, the Gaping Dragon is not that hard. He is a recurring boss from Dark Souls 1, and his moveset isn't really that great. He's very slow. The only thing that he does that's really threatening is when he starts to spit out a sort of goo that reduces your max HP. But other than that, you should be fine. Especially when you're playing a ranged character. He's very slow, and his moves are very telegraphed. It's this one that I was talking about. So we just dispatch of it, and then we go see these rewards. We have this hammer. I really shouldn't take it, but I was thinking that, well, if we find a tree avatar or something that's really weak to fire, we might want to use it over our bow, but that's about it. So here I just go for Poison and Rot, triggered continuous health recovery, because we're going to be dealing poison damage. In case you didn't know, the night boss Adel is weak to poison, which means that you deal more damage with poison. And now I just mark the treasure on the map, and we'll see what we'll get there. Turns out the drops weren't actually that useful, but it's always worth checking out in case that there might be something. So now, day 2, we're going to set our sights on the castle and just farm our runes up to level 15 and get as many passes as we can, because we already have our weapons. And here we are, manual aiming. Look at that, stagger, boom, headshot, and the damage is just so good. It's crazy. Then just character skill to get out of range and just rinse and repeat. Very strong, very consistent. And also, something that I haven't mentioned is that the character skill has a special property in which it makes you phase through enemies. So it turns out for it turns off the player collision for well, the duration of the dash, so you can actually even phase through bosses and reposition yourself really effectively. So here I go for increased maximum HP. That's just something you want to see. I keep banging on about HP, but it's just very important. And if you really don't want to get one-shotted, it's just what you gotta use. And now, another property of the character art is that you can actually change directions mid art, as you saw, and you can really curve them and change your trajectory, so you can really reposition and most importantly go through more than one enemy at the same time. So you're just doing this mini boss. It doesn't stand a chance, even with the other ones. Like, we're so mobile with Ironeye that even in a 2v3, in a 1v3 or a 1v4, we just can't get out on top. So it's really strong. You should definitely play this character in solo. It's very fun. Yeah, FromSoft made bows good. That's crazy, huh? It only took them 14 years in 7 games. Here I just go for improved affinity attack power. There's an extra knight here. Some people just keep forgetting about it, but it's actually worth doing it. And here's another example of using the art to just clear up mobs. 1, 2, 3, back and forth, and we just made a 1v4 into a 1v1. To those people who say that Ironeye doesn't have damage compared to other characters, well, that's because you're not using headshots in manual aiming, because as you can see, you can just melt through them very, very fast. It's just a matter of playing it optimally, and playing it optimally is very, very hard. Now we find a bloodstain of another Ironeye, and this is even better, because the passives that this Ironeye has, that these Ironeye weapons have, is to increase your stamina and dexterity, which is actually the two main attributes that you really want to go look for. Of course, Arcane is good as well because of the poison. But ideally, stamina and dexterity for your damage is so important. Now we get ganked, but that's fine. We just take him out. And he also drops a gold scarab, which is it's a nice talisman, but you really want to see it like on day 1. On day 2, it's not as effective, but it's better than, well, not having anything really. And then we grab these uplifting aromatic, which is huge. These consumables are like a opaline bubble tier combined with one of those exalted flashes. So it has a dual effect of negating a big chunk of damage once, and it's also a steroid that gives you attack damage. So definitely pick those up if you can see them. They're very rare as they're epic, but they're very much worth it. And this is another of the cool interactions you can do with the character skill. And instead of phasing through, you can actually go in to apply the mark and then get back. This is one of the hardest mechanics from Ironeye, aside, well, manual aiming, of course. But it's really useful because it allows you to put your mark and then go back again into a safe distance and just keep whacking. So the way you do this is do the character skill forward and then just immediately press back, and he should go back, or you can go forward and then another direction like left or right. Really depends on what you feel is the safest place to be at that time. Another important thing that you can see here is, if you noticed, I took a whole combo of this guy. That's because I was trying to activate my my character skill to dodge mid combo. But it turns out that, especially in these faster combos, the character skill activation is slower than your roll. So if you're just getting mauled and attacked, prioritize rolling to get out of the enemy's attack string, instead of using your character skill as your primary dodge, just because it has a shorter activation time frame. Then I go see what's the top boss. Top boss is a tree sentinel, which is actually pretty easy. He decides to put up the shield, and this only happens actually when you manual aim, which is kind of interesting. The game is filled with these cool, neat details of the tree sentinel just trying to protect its head. So when you're pointing directly at it, he just puts the shield up. So here I just try to fight him normally. As I mentioned, like, you should be prioritizing manual aiming, but you don't always need to manual aim. But as you can see, you can even make him stagger. It's so good. And I really recommend this relic that gives you a second art charge, because, well, you can apply the mark right after you pop it, and just having to clear smaller mobs is so useful, and it will save you a lot of time. Another stagger. and another one. It's at this point like we're level 8, but we're dealing so much damage because we're just pointing at the right places. Actually, I go for Violent Deluge of Star, and this is amazing because this, as I said, this triggers while you walk, and when you're manual aiming, you're walking, so it triggers. So, and this is especially useful on bosses that are very, very big, and guess what? Adel is one of the largest, so it will be very, very good, and you'll see the damage it deals. And with so many runes, we go straight to level 14, and then we try to take on Bellbearing Hunter. The headshot damage is pretty good, but unfortunately, as you expect, he doesn't stagger like the other bosses. Well, nothing staggers this man. Almost nothing. So it's a little bit crazy. We actually don't manage to kill him because the storm's closing, and I just... like, we're so far ahead at this point that I know that a level 15 is guaranteed from the day 2 boss. So I really just decide to bail and just take our runes and don't risk it. So here I'm actually in a bit of a pickle because day 2 is just coming to an end, and I have no flasks and a sliver of HP. So here I actually make a tactical decision to take an intentional death here. And this is because you can die, as long as the circle hasn't closed yet. If you die, you won't lose the run, you'll just, well, respawn, and your runes will be close by. So I take here an intentional death, so that I spawn with more HP and that my runes are close enough for me to fetch them when day 2 closes. So this turns out to be the right call, because as soon as I saw the Beastmen spawning, I know we were in for one of the, if not the hardest day 2 boss, which is the Ancient Dragon, which is the equivalent to Cinesax in base Elden Ring. So we definitely needed the extra health and the flasks. So taking that intentional death was really a lifesaver in this situation. So this boss isn't actually the one that benefits most from manual aiming, as in these really big bosses you can target specific parts of the body with the lock-on. But still, I use this more as a practice, and as I said, I already was in the mindset of playing this as a Monster Hunter game, and I guess it really shows, and it really made a difference in my performance and in how the game played out. And just triggering the Rain of Stars, look at that. Just doing passive damage from both the poison and the Rain of Stars is really, really good. So now he goes into the second phase, he starts to light up with red lightning. And now most of his attacks will have some after effects, and you can actually jump the after lightnings, much like you can do with the Draconic Tree Sentinel. So I try to apply the mark, but I fail. Sometimes in these big enemies with thin limbs, it's a little bit harder to hit them. Another one that really drives me nuts is the Regal Ancestor Spirit. Just because he has like a chunky body, but he's so tall and his legs are so thin. And especially when you're playing as a melee character, it can be really frustrating because you just whiff a lot of the times. So when he goes to Spitfire, just go behind him, hit him in the tail. And then we just finish him off. Here there's really nothing that interests me too much, so I just go for Ice Storm Surge Sprint. But this really isn't great during major boss fights, you actually don't want to be surge sprinting a lot. And that's because during fights, your stamina drains when you surge sprint, and it just drains so much stamina that you're often better off just doing the normal running. And finally, we're at day 3. We have a guaranteed level 15 in our runes. And then we still have some to buy as something nice. I buy a Wending Grace, and I actually didn't use the Storm Sword keys, and I buy the Crimson Bubble tier, which makes it so if you would take a blow that would kill you, it just heals you instead, and you don't die, so it's like an extra safety net. It's like a mini Wilder passive that is not guaranteed to save you if the damage is too big, but if it's like just regular damage, you can use it as a revive of sorts, or an escape death. So Adel always starts this fight the same way. He plummets into the ground and then he does this big AoE. The difference in this fight against, well, there's a lot of differences as you'll see, but the main starting difference is that he starts in phase 2 of the regular fight, which makes him a lot more difficult to deal with. He's already poisoned because he's very weak to poison, and now his bites have this big aftershock which you really need to dodge. And you can actually jump these aftershocks, so that's something you should really look forward into doing, just because it's more consistent than just rolling, at least in my opinion. I actually get caught here, unfortunately. But since our resistances were up because we got some of those passives, I actually don't get bleed. And this is huge because it allows us to survive. So if you're playing a tank in this fight, definitely grab things that up your bleed resistance, because it will make you just stay alive and tank those grabs so much better. Here I go for the ult, just to get some space and some time to reposition. Goes for the grab, and he actually now has a second grab, which he sometimes does, and look at the damage of the Deluge Star, it's crazy. We go for the riposte, mark again, and then keep attacking. He's poisoned again, and then he goes into this very cool flourish, and this marks the start of phase 2 of this fight. And this can be a little bit confusing. He's going to land, you want to get away from his landing spot, which is the one that's marked with the big lightning, and then you have these Spirit Springs which you need to jump. So you pretty much, in this phase, you need to jump into the Eye of the Storm, so you don't get damaged, because if you stay out of the Eye of the Storm, even, you get damage. So in this second phase, you really need to be on the defensive, because you have a lot less room to work with, and he tends to be just way more aggressive overall. So he goes for the combo of the grabs, so he does 2 grabs in a row, just be careful of that. And then he has this 3-hit combo where he just smashes the ground, then AoE blows up and smashes the ground, and he does three times this, and it can be quite complicated to dodge all of them. Just do as much damage as you can while staying well safe. Here goes for that combo. Roll, jump, but then I actually missed this third roll, which is fine. So when he goes for this, he's charging up and is going to blow up. Just run out of there. That marks the end of the storm phase. So if you see him charge up, it's safe for you to run out. Then he does the same opening attack. He actually gets me with this, but it's fine. I have so much HP from the passives that none of this is a one-shot. So he's now focused onto me, and you really want to use both your rolls and your marks to dodge into his attacks to create more distance. So this is the a case where you want to really use those character skills to go against it and phase through. Here he goes for the 3-hit combo, so I just cancel him with my ult. And at this point he's almost dead, and I haven't even taken a single death. he gets poise broken, so I just go and stagger him and riposte him, I mean in the mouth, and I just use my final aromatic and we just finish him off. So as you can see, it's not as bad as it looks. It's a very flashy fight and it can be a little daunting at first, but once you realize how he acts and the rhythm of his attacks, it's really not that bad. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed, guys. This was my Everdark Sovereign video. There will be more coming out in the next few patches, and yeah, I hope you guys liked it. Like and subscribe and comment for more videos, and I'll see you guys in the next one.